He's built the eight-figure Height Digital. They roll with folks like Shark Tank and John C. Maxwell, and of course, me.
My theory is that instead of acting as one big agency going broad and trying to just expand, like what does it look like for us to own a lot of these individual small markets?
Let's talk like Height Digital strategy.
My strategy is simple. I'm all about like how do we build relationships, authority, and serve the local community.
A lot of people in the beginning are just coming from a desperate kind of scarcity. I just need any client.
A free way to do this, if you just can't afford anything, is dude, run a podcast. You do you.
All right, you beautiful motherfuckers. I'm super stoked about this one. JC Hype, besides being a legend, for those of you guys who don't know, he's built the eight-figure Height Digital. They roll with folks like Shark Tank and John C. Maxwell, and of course, me, which makes him even, that's obviously the highest profile person. Micro influencer like myself is obviously winning at life. And the reason I wanted to bring on JC today is we both kind of had the same idea, and I wanted to kind of ask you about it now that we got a chance to talk about it. But I'm assuming that a part of the reason for this challenge you created for yourself is you and I get the same question, like in different variations 100 times a week. If you were me, you were starting over, what would you do? And I'm not like hey, let's make a course, let's talk about it, let's theorize it. I decided let's just do it. And you've kind of created that whole thing. So why don't we start with let's get the obligatory thanks for being here, and then let's talk about like the challenge, why you're doing it, and the whole details of that, and catch folks up who haven't heard the news already.
You know, one reason wasn't good enough for my wife to move to a whole freaking new country, give up the maid, give up the driver, give up the beach house. There had to be multiple reasons. So there's a few reasons why we decided to do it. Number one, you're exactly right. Like we launched our agency in 2018. We're up to 150 people now. It's a different landscape. It's a different world. Even from an economic standpoint, it's different. And so what does it look like to go back and start from scratch and then document, everything? And so this, you're spot on. The second thing is even at Height, right? Like we're constantly trying to innovate how we get to the next phase of our business, right? Like how do we get to 20 million or 50 million or whatever that looks like? And my theory is that instead of acting as one big agency going broad and trying to just expand, like what does it look like for us to own a lot of these individual small markets? It's like, what does it look like for us to have a sales rep in this town of 50,000 people building his brand, building his authority, and own that market and get him. And so, and this is a derivative of me interviewing a lot of local agencies in populations of like 40 or $50,000 cities that were all doing like $1 to $2 million in revenue. Like they were doing, what does it look like again if we bring all these together? And so there's two things. Number one, how do you start from scratch and just do your thing? And number two, even if you are a bigger agency, what does it look like for you to hire salespeople and give them a very explicit roadmap of like, all right, this is how you're going to get us to $1 million in revenue in your local territory there. And so both things work. At the same time, man, I invested in this technology called We're Local. I bought 60% of it. And I think it's going to revolutionize the way an agency can grow and scale in a more stable way. And so I'm using this tech, proving it out, right? Before I go sell it to the masses. We're kind of in a beta phase right now with a few agencies. But before we go and like really scale and grow it, let me just go test it myself. Let me see if I can actually get to the experiment has two phases. The first phase, and what my gamble is can I get to 10,000 in profits in 4 months? No team, no resources. I'm not using my name. I don't have a website that I'm showing people. Like, how do I get to 10,000 in profits? But my real goal is that in 7 months, I want to sell it for $1 million. I'm going to sell this agency for $1 million. And I think I can do it, man.
Dude, well, I'm rooting for you. We actually, just, I don't know if you saw, but I kind of created my own 90-day challenge. Mine started just, I got so sick of being asked the same question over and over. And they were like, what would you do if you were me? And I'm like, I didn't really want to create a course or a training on it because I'm like, let me just do it. And same as you, like we went into a new industry where I didn't know anyone. I made sure I'm not like, I didn't turn on the paid ads because I know most folks starting at zero aren't sitting on 20 grand that they can burn through in paid ads. It's like, how do you actually just do this starting from zero? And I think the beautiful thing about our model is, like, yeah, it sounds like a big deal for a lot of people who are starting out. Like, you get to 10K a month, because for me that was like a magic number of like, I'll never need a boss again. That was like 20 years ago. You cross that line, you're like, I'll never be an employee ever again. If I can make
Yep.
6 figures on my own, like, I'm not working for someone else. But the beautiful thing with our model is, like, you really just got to get like half dozen people, maybe less, depending on how big of a service you sell them. Like, it's
Yeah.
like it's simple. It's not necessarily easy, but it's simple, right? Like, it's not like you got to go out and start a Starbucks and get a million people to come into your store. You just got to find,
Yep.
half dozen guys or girls who like want to grow their business and are interested in getting some help to do that. So I'd love to hear a little bit about, like, let's talk like high digital strategy and like what you're doing here. Like, let's get into the trenches here.
Yeah, man. So mine is and my numbers are like yours. A 6 to 10 is what I really, probably closer to 10 is what I need in terms of bigger clients. And my strategy is simple. I'm all about, like, how do we build relationships, authority, and serve the local community. So I'm service first. I want to help you, help you, help you, and then later on charge. In fact, um, someone, after I said I was going to go do it, I'd heard of Undercover Billionaire with Grant Cardone, but I never watched it. And then I found out later that he had actually started an agency. So I went back and watched it. And his was the same way. He literally told a few people, like, don't pay me. I just want to build a relationship, serve. Don't pay me. Don't pay me. And how did that pay off? So We're Local is a digital magazine. And what we're doing with this digital magazine is that we're bringing this into a city. So I own We're Local Searcy. And all I'm doing is I'm publishing articles like on the city, what's happening, top business owners, how to find a plumber, all this type of stuff. And I'm building the authority of this magazine inside Searcy, Arkansas. So I'm replacing the newspaper. I'm replacing the local magazine that's a digital, that's a hand, a physical copy.
Yeah.
Through that, what I'm doing is I'm calling up all the business owners. Actually, I'm really using referral system, but I'm saying, hey, owner of Bob's Plumbing, look, we're bringing this new magazine to town. We're doing some cool things with it. I would love to write a featured article on you. I'd love to spotlight you, right? Now, most people are going to say yes to that. Like, why wouldn't they, right? And I'm trying to position it in some way. So I'm saying, hey, Frankie, dude, I'd love to spotlight you. I've noticed you've been in business for 10 years. I noticed that 20% of your profits go to charity. I noticed that you're second generation. I want to write about this and why people should use you in the local community. So now I write this article, and my goal is to do 20 of these articles every single month, so one per business day. Now, when I write that article, what I do is I come back, I post the article on our virtual magazine, right? And this is a franchise model, this virtual magazine. The power of this, I wrote an article 7 days ago on best plumbers in Searcy. I'm already on page 1, position number 5 for that article, because our magazine has so much worldwide, right? So what does this look like? So I write this article about Bob's Plumbing. Now I post it. I send it to him. I'm like, hey, Bob, I posted this article. Check it out. And then what I do is I post that article on Facebook. I boost it by $50. So now I get lots of engagement, likes, clicks, things like this. Now I call back Bob. Dude, Bob, did you see the article, bro? Like, we got like 50 likes on this thing. We got like 20 comments. And because you're boosting it locally and it's a small city, you're
Yeah.
going to get a lot more engagement, right?
Yeah.
Now what I do, dude, Bob, we should do some more things together. Dude, did you see this? Right. And I can actually see in my back end all the analytics, all the profile, everything like this. Right. And so I want to own the media. If I can own the media in my city, if I can replace the news channel and replace the local magazine and replace the newspaper, which We're Local is a platform that allows me to do that, now I can build these relationships. Like, we're already starting to get hundreds of impressions per day. We're already starting to get traffic. I've only posted 2 articles, and I'm showcasing this along the way. Within 6 months, I want to be the source of news in Searcy. Like, that's the goal. And I think I can do it. Like, there's no reason I can't replace the newspaper.
100%.
So now imagine this. There's several things I can sell from this. So obviously we're selling SEO, PPC, Facebook ads, all the cool stuff, but there's a couple of nuances that are super different. And I think we can change the way marketing is even thought of. So let me give you an example. In that hard print magazine that every little local city across the US has, there's two types of content in there. One is the ads and one is the articles. Which one is more powerful? If I see an ad on Bob's Plumbing,
Yeah.
or if I see an article on how Bob's Plumbing is affecting the economy here.
Yeah.
Definitely the article.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take this back to Facebook ads. We're going to charge people $1,500 for what we call sponsored articles. Okay. What I do is I take that $1,500 and I write an article about them. All right. Something interesting, something fascinating. I take 500 of the 15 and I boost that article throughout the city. $500 in a 60,000 population or below.
Everybody
You're
who's
going to
on
get
Facebook will see it pretty much.
you're going to get 50 to 70,000 impressions.
Yeah.
But how much more powerful that normal agency is going to do Facebook ads. Call me, I'm the best roofer, I'm the best plumber. That sucks. No, this type of deal where I can target the right people and get 50,000 impressions on an article talking about them, not for them, it changes the entire dynamic, right? So we're going to charge $1,500. I think I can get that up closer to $2,000 to $2,500 eventually, but $1,500. Now, here's the cool thing, Frankie. Where am I sending that traffic to? I'm sending it to my website. We're local, which means I'm collecting everyone's email as well, which means that not only can I do ads, I can also do email marketing to the city of Searcy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you own the media, you have the control. Why do you think Yext and Angie's List and all these things are so powerful? They don't even have that great. It's because they're syndicated throughout the US. So whenever they launch something, they have it all compounded. We do it the same. So we have this digital magazine as the front end. And that's where we have to go heavy in. But the back end, everything Yext has, we have as well. Everything Angie's List has, we have as well. We have a directory, review manager, all that type of stuff. And we could top on and I could even show you how to do this, but but that's the idea.
Yeah,
So,
if you got a little time, I would actually love to show it. I have a few comments on that. I've mentioned this before. Like we're definitely in agreement here, where I always say the biggest challenge, even sometimes for people who are experienced, this is they're too tactical and not strategic. And the way I can tell somebody's being strategic is if they know what they're going to do, move 2, move 3, move 4. And so when you do that, like a lot of people in our industry, especially in the beginning, but this is true at the higher echelons too. They're in the belief that there's a magic script. Like you send some magic message to somebody and they're going to send you money. And it's like the equivalent of thinking like there's a pickup line you can say that'll always get you laid kind of thing. And it's just, it doesn't really exist in the real world. And so I see a lot of people when they do kind of what outreach, their message basically boils down to buy my shit, fucker. And it's hard to make that work, especially at scale. Like you can do it, but like you need massive amounts of volume. As where what you've thought about, which is so simple, is like how can I add value to your world, and you do that through like featuring them, right? Like it's such a simple thing by owning your own media. And I remember actually one of my first moves when I got into the lawyer space in 2016 is I had to Google like who are the top lawyers like in the world. I knew 0 lawyers personally, professionally. There was 0 in my network. There's 0 in my audience. One of the first moves is I reached out to Morgan & Morgan, which is the top personal injury law firm in the world. And I called them up on the phone, just got the front desk and I said, hey, I really love what you guys are up to. Like Morgan & Morgan is crushing it. I would love to interview the boss man and share your message, very similar to what you're doing. And I was surprised. Like my big fear was they're going to say, well, how big's your audience? And, who are you? And what's your publication? And what they actually said, because everybody loves being featured, they said July 27th at 3 p.m. or August 2nd at, 12 p.m. Which one of those works for you? And before I knew it, I was interviewing the top lawyer in existence. And it's amazing that when that's your step 1, and then you're going step 2. And it's same as you. When I went to run ads, when the ad said, hey, I'm Frankie Finn, I got this cool service, nobody cared. But when I said, hey, here's what John Morgan, the top lawyer in all of existence, says about growing the business, and we agree on these 3 central points. And boy, and if you want your help building those, I just happen to offer one of those things. It's a totally different game. Like you said, like the ads just crush it because it's way different than like call Frankie Finn and Associates. We're good at what we do versus like sponsored media. And so I love how the real asset you're building is a media company, and the agency will just be like a spin-off. You'll sell a whole bunch of services, but you'll have a $1 million asset that you'll walk away from in the process of building this $10,000 a month agency. So, I find the smartest people, like, just going back to the being strategic, are thinking about how do I get paid up front? how do I get paid ongoing? How do I get paid on the back end? And they're thinking strategic, as
There you
where
go.
a lot of people in the beginning are just coming from a desperate kind of scarcity. I just need any client to pay me at all. And what happens is they leave massive amounts of money on the table and do it in a way that's kind of directionless. So I don't know if you have any
Yeah.
thoughts that you want to add on that, but I just like that's how
No,
it's really
100%.
what
I
you're
mean,
building.
it's, dude, it's, and you can do this a couple different ways. I choose where local because I don't think if I can build it right, it's going to be really hard to compete with it. A free way to do this, if you just can't afford anything, is dude, run a podcast, right? Like Cersei Top Businesses
Yeah.
podcast, right? And
Yeah.
again, you're trying to give as much value as possible. But yeah, no, you're 100% right, and I'm excited to hear that you've done that strategy before. Let me show you guys this. So I wrote this article 7 days ago, but if I type in best plumbers in Cersei, you can see right here, boom, my article is already. And if you look at all of these, none of these were done in the near future. These are all like, I mean, Yelp is beating me, Superpage. These are big companies. And so if I click this article, this is kind of what it looks like here. This is an article. I didn't throw any pictures. I actually used AI to do this on a live the other day just to showcase.
Yeah.
And then literally today I showed everyone like the power of it. But if let's say I go to, Cersei. So this is like where the magazine comes in. You can go to different content. I can go to home and garden or business or lifestyle. But you also have this directory, which this is the back end for businesses. And these businesses can actually use this and go in. You can see here, I'm just now building it up. Again, I'm showcasing everyone. And I want to show you guys how easy it is to build these profiles for business owners. So let me go to my dashboard here on the back end.
Yeah.
And let's say I want to add a new profile. All right. So I'm creating profiles for different businesses in my city. I want to go to, industry here. And let's look for, I don't know, office seating and furniture. I don't know. Sure. Maybe there's no results for this. I don't know. So boom, Cousin's office furniture, Cleo's furniture. I can create these profiles one by one by just clicking this button, or I can do a bulk and I can add several, and let's just add them all because I can. Oh, there's too many. Let me just create. The moment I do this, check this out. All those profiles are already uploaded and we syndicate it all. Like we're using AI, APIs, and so on and so forth to bring in a couple of really good reviews from Google. So now whenever I talk about this or I feature them, I'm syndicated this back into my own content and my own system here.
Yeah.
And that owner can claim the profile. We can call them up. We can even use that as a strategy. Just call them and say, hey, you should claim your free profile. Here it is. Now we're creating this content strategy again. How
Yeah.
do I boost that presence, so on and so forth. But if you look, I mean, I'm already
Can
ranking
I
for a
just
lot of
say,
things.
like, the genius of this? I've always said it's simpler than people make it, but it gives you an endless number of ways to reach out. And what most people are doing is they're asking, give me something, and you're saying, let me give you something, and it totally changes the dynamic when you're the one showing with the gift at the table. It's funny, like when my relatives in Germany, it's like a total social faux pas if somebody invites you to anything at all that's social and you don't bring a gift. You got to bring a bottle of wine, you got to bring some dessert. Like you can't show up empty handed ever. And
Yep.
I think this is the right way to do messaging, is like, think about it like you got to bring a bottle of wine, you got to bring a gift. There's no scenario which you should show up hand extended as a beggar saying, please, buy my stuff. And in your scenario, you're saying, hey, we got a listing, we want to feature you, we're going to post you, we want to run an email blast for you. Like there's endless ways you can spin that, and they're all gifts. They're all like value adds to somebody else, where of course they want to be featured, of course they want to be talked about, of course they want more listings, of course they want people talking about their reviews and things like that.
So the numbers are this. If I can get where I am interviewing 40 business owners a month, that's 2 a day. So I'm going in face to face, doing an interview. I'll get a VA to write the article. That's 40 articles per month. I boost each one of them for $50. That's going to hit a lot of people in town, get a lot of engagement. So I got 40 people, spent $2,000. Of those 40 people, what percentage do you think will work with me? Well,
Yeah, it depends.
two, I'm now at $1,000 in profit
Yeah.
per month.
It
And
depends
that's
on the timeline, but I bet given a year, you could probably convert 60-70% of them, right?
I mean, that would be crazy good, but like at least I better close 4 or 5 or 6 of them within a 30 to 45 days. Now I'm already ROI positive,
Yeah.
right? And so, and you think about, again, the scalability of that, it's nuts. And I can own own the media in your town, owning the voice in your town. That's the key. There's so many things you can do with this.
Yeah.
Our alpha
Can I
play.
just add on that? Like that's a big thing that I think keeps people stuck in the beginning is like the immediate need for money. And then because of it, you think about like all these short term, like how can I get somebody to pay me today? And what
Yeah,
you're doing, like the real dividends you'll see in 45, 60 days. But if you can just like, we're not talking like you have to have a lifetime's worth of patience. You got to have 4 to 6 weeks worth of patience and play the long game a little bit. And if you can do that and like just think a few moves ahead, like play chess when everybody else is trying to play checkers, and like you
right.
said, you own the media. I mean, you can sell email blasts, you can actually sell the media. You can put on events, you can sponsor your own things, like you can work out brand deals. Like there's so many ways you can spin that.
We just
Um,
did a scavenger hunt with all the sponsors, and so like the scavenger hunt, literally they were going to the businesses that were sponsors, right?
yeah,
And so there's so many things you could do, but you're accurate on there, man, is that, and like if you get fired from your job and you got to feed your kids, I get it. You need to take money from the business, but if you got a job and you hate it, slow roll this things out, put 100% of that money back into the relationships, the building, so on and so forth, you're going to grow it so much faster.
yeah,
And the more you can reinvest in those first 3, 6, 7 months, I want to say with height, my wife had a decent job. I want to say with height, the first year I was averaging like $2,000 a month was all I was taking from it, which gave me a ridiculous advantage over everyone else because instead of paying myself 10K, I was using that other 8K to go get, 2 or 3 more employees to help with sales. Right. And so it's just a really big advantage.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm with you. I mean, I get it. I've never liked to preach and say this is the advice for everybody because, like you said, if you got to feed your family today, like you got to do what you got to do. I'm not here to judge anyone in those scenarios. I'm just saying, like, I see a lot of people say stuck because they constantly try short-term tactics, and then like every few months they're starting over. And
That's
if
right.
you can just invest into relationships at the start, like I've never not see it come back, but you never know exactly which day the furniture guy is going to call you and say, okay, let's do it.
Right.
But you know that if you keep investing into them and value building, like when the need arises, which is frequently, like there's only one choice in their mind.
The other thing I think people, we are in love with this high ticket and charging a lot of money, and I get it. It's beautiful, it's fun. However, there's a lot of opportunity at that lower level as well. One thing I like to tell people is every single client that can afford you today at one point couldn't afford you. And so for me, one thing I like about the strategy is that we offer free profiles for every business. There's tons of benefits. The SEO is nuts on this thing. Like if you do a Google search in Salem, which is our alpha city, the GMB is pulling reviews from We're Local. Like straight up. If you go to
Yeah,
a business, it's not Angie's List, it's We're Local. Here's the review that they have on We're Local. So the power is there. But we also have a 297 plan that gives a lot more benefits as well. And that's a full SaaS play. We have super low churn. We have 80% profit margins on it. And so there's also like this lower ticket. You'd be surprised. A lot of businesses in the world don't think about marketing with an ROI mindset. They don't think, okay, if I give 1,000, I'll get 15. If I give 3, I'll get 6. They just think, man, I just want to invest $500 a month. And they don't even look at the ROI most of the time. Unfortunately, this is why
yeah,
businesses go under, by the way. But like,
yeah,
and so if you can get like in that price point, there's also an opportunity, I think, with a SaaS play, whether you're selling Go High Level or you're selling more local or you're selling something that
yeah,
takes very low energy, very low. Like I make more per hour selling the 297 plan than I do any other plan because those
yeah,
297 plans, I make $250 a month and I work literally make an hour a year,
yeah.
right? And so there's advantages of both, but
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen it too. Like we have people in our community and stuff that I've talked to a few of them where they're charging 10K a month for SEO and the owner's happy to keep like 500 to 1,000, like they're at 5-10% margins. And of course, when you're delivering a $10,000 premium service, clients don't expect like, like this low key, hands off kind of thing. As where you talked about, and I always say
yeah,
the hidden metric that most people don't think about because like in our world, the MRR, the monthly recurring revenue is the scoreboard everybody wants to talk about. But the hidden one is energy. And so if you got something that's 297 a month and you got to touch for an hour, and so you got a $4,000 a year cash cow that people never quit, never cancel, and you got to invest an hour, that's a $4,000 an hour return year one. And that's assuming they don't ever quit.
Yeah.
And you, if you got a $10,000 a month service, but you might have to, spend 30 hours a week or 30 hours a month on meetings and catching up with that client and creating reports and updating and having internal meetings and managing it. Like if you actually measure your return on energy, it's like, you're in the $30 an hour, which is still not bad. Like I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but like the energy
Yeah.
is a hidden metric. And I think maybe you probably had similar experiences, but as somebody who's consulted with a lot of agencies, I've had the experience of like, there's two guys who come to mind. They're both at around like 200K a month. And one of them has like an energy efficient machine to the point where our conversations are like I don't even know if I'm doing this right, but I don't really have anything to do. Like is my
Yeah.
machine broken? I'm like, well, if you're happy with it, like it's easy, like I don't really see, and the clients are happy, I don't. And then I'll have somebody else who's at the same monthly recurring revenue, and they're like, oh my god, I'm so stressed out, and this client, this is going on, and somebody quit, and I got to manage this, and oh my god, our ClickUp's a mess, and this person just quit, and blah blah blah, and it's like pure chaos. But if you
Yeah.
go into a ClickFunnels group and you show their MRR, like those businesses are identical, but I promise you, like as somebody who's managed both of those, they are
Yeah.
not at all identical. And the person who has sanity and an easy to run machine is like they're
Yeah.
cruising. They're like they're going places, they're having adventures, and you see them having a life because the business doesn't suck everything out of them. Where the other person is kind of like quietly desperate, like please, bro, save me from what I've built. And there's nobody who can save you because it's your own machine, and it's not like a job where you can just quit your own company and somebody will come in
Right.
and replace you. And often when it's that chaotic, you have nobody to sell to. So I'm I'm
Right.
I'm glad you talked about that because those little 297 a month things fit that description, and they can be awesome little services where they're like super easy to deliver and you can accumulate a bunch of them. I see you looking over your shoulder. How are we doing on time, by the way?
We'll probably have to wrap it up here. That was my daughter. Came in yelling, but she walked out. So
Cool. Well, for those of you guys who don't know, JC's built a Facebook group where he's sharing the updates and tracking the progress, and you guys can follow along. I'm part of it already. We'll put some links to that below. Anything else that our folks should know about besides the community?
yeah, guys. I mean, I just, want to encourage you guys. I like what you said, right? Consistency, discipline. You do the right things and you do it consistently for a while and waiting on that return to happen. I mean, it's just
Yeah. I don't want to stress
so
that. We're not talking like waiting an eternity. You just have to have like 4 to 6
oh
weeks of patience.
no, this generation doesn't like waiting 5 minutes. So but you got to stick with it and you got to build the consistency there. And if you can build that brand, I mean,
Yeah.
this industry is so incredible in terms of what you can profit and what you can do. It's unlike any
Yeah.
generation before us didn't have this opportunity. So
Yeah.
yeah,
What JC is talking about that as well, like just before we go, that I'd like to add is that, with the strategy he just outlined, you walk away with $1 million media company that's sellable, and most people even when they hit, $1 million agencies like are not set up where somebody else would want to buy it because it's completely dependent on the owner. So using this strategy, the actual thing you're using as your lead in to get the clients, to get the cash flow today, is actually the thing that's going to cash you out and make you worthwhile tomorrow. Because a media company with an email list and an audience and influence in the community like has real tangible value, and it doesn't require like an owner's face to run it where you got to be this, or
right.
you don't have to be running the Facebook ads to keep it going. So like it's a twofold thing where you can build your agency, hit your cash flow, live the life you want, but also like walk away with something that's sellable and meaningful. And so I dig it, brother. And
I love
okay,
it. I love it, man.
I'll put the links to his group below or above somewhere around here. Look around there and make sure to join. Like I said, I'm already in it, and follow along.
Dude, you're awesome, Frank. I appreciate you letting me come on here and share the story. And any way I can serve you in the group, let me know.
Same, brother. Hey guys, if you like this video, you'll also like my book on Amazon called Beyond the Agency Box, which you can also find by my name, Frankie Finn, and it's got a lot of awesome reviews. And it really just goes deeper on a lot of things we're talking about, everything you need to grow and start a lifestyle agency, from the stages you'll go through to getting clients, to how to create winning offers, to high value deliverables, to wowing clients, to building teams, to building systems, and building a boring factory that's like a 7-figure money machine for you. So if you're interested, I put links for you in the video description, as well as it'll be in the pinned top comment below, and make sure to check those out.